Welcome to the Retirement Solutions Podcast with your hosts, Ryan Thacker and Tyson Thacker from B.O.S. Retirement Solutions. This is where you'll hear personal stories and interviews with industry leaders that can help you overcome the biggest challenges with planning for retirement today. And now, here are your hosts, Ryan Thacker and Tyson Thacker.
Hello, everybody. This is Ryan Thacker along with my brother Tyson. We are the Retirement Brothers from B.O.S. Retirement Solutions and Advisors. And you know what? We have a new thing that's happening right now today, which we're super excited about. We are launching our podcast. Many of you have heard us on radio or you've seen us on our TV show. But this is, here we are, new era, new frontier, Tyson. That's right. This is going to be a pretty fun day. And we are launching Retirement Solutions, the podcast. So as we venture out into this new and exciting format, Tyson, this is going to be really fun. What are your thoughts about the podcast, Tyson?
Well, what I love about what we're doing with the podcast is we've done the radio show for so many years, but we really felt like we wanted to do a shorter format. We wanted to do something that's going to really be actionable, something that's going to be very educational and fun. We really, Ryan, one of the things that we talk about in our latest book, the B.O.S. Retirement Blueprint, is about us sitting around the table at Sunday dinner. And as a family, we come from a family of 7 kids, and just being able to talk about the week, talk about our successes, talk about our failures. We want this to feel like we're sitting around the kitchen table a little bit and having a conversation with you, each one of you who want to understand more about retirement and how we can help you to do that. So I'm really excited about it too.
Tyson, I remember we started the radio show October of 2015, and now we have hundreds and hundreds of radio show episodes, and we started the TV show in 2018, and here we are. It's March of 2024, and this is going to be different from all of those mediums. A lot of times on the radio show, we'll talk about a subject, and then here's what you can do about it, right?
Sure.
This is going to be just us. Imagine we're sitting here at the table, and we're just having dinner.
Great conversation.
It's just like, you mentioned, Tyson, Sunday dinner growing up. It was always the same menu: roast beef, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, and then for dessert, it was yellow cake and chocolate frosting, right?
So good.
Well, we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes in this podcast, but we're also going to, this format gives us a chance. Instead of being on a radio show, we have to be on a time clock, or on the TV show, we're on a time clock. This gives us just a chance in these 30-minute segments to get inside the brain of Ryan Thacker and Tyson Thacker as we go through and really as we talk about what we've learned over the last 25 years when it comes to retirement planning. One of our superpowers, Tyson, is simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I think a lot of you have listened to the radio show or you've watched us on the TV show, but there's a lot of you who are new. And so we want to just talk a little bit about, where we came from, what our origin story is. And I think that's really going to be a lot of the focus in this kickoff podcast here today. We run one of the, an RIA. It's based in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we have 6 offices. We're adding a 7th office here in Utah. We have one office in Idaho and 2 offices up in Seattle, Washington. And we're just growing and expanding because we're having so much fun, Tyson. It's our philosophy is really good information to good people so that you can make great decisions about retirement. And so, Tyson, our company name B.O.S., it has periods between each letter. What does B.O.S. stand for?
Well, B.O.S. stands for Build the Optimal System of Security. We want you to be able to work with us and to be able to have a simple plan. Leonardo da Vinci says that simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. So, Ryan, when you talk about our superpower being simplicity, we want to bring that simplicity to people's retirement. And that includes building the optimal system of security. There's so much craziness going on out in the world right now. There's so many things that people are worried about. I think over all of the years that we have been in this business, Ryan, I feel there's people who come to us with a lot more fear and anxiety than ever before about being able to retire. And that's another piece of this that we really want to bring to the podcast is bring you some peace, bring you the ability to really feel confident and feel like you have clarity in retirement. And I'll say this right up front. Warren Buffett once said when somebody got up in one of their meetings that they have every year annually and said, "Look at all this stuff going on that's terrible, and what are we going to do about it?" And he said, "Never bet against the American people."
Yep.
And that's what this show's about too, is providing a resource, an opportunity for us to share that 25 years worth of experience, Ryan, so that the people can have that clarity and confidence.
Okay, so let's get in the time machine. Let's go back in time. We when we graduated from college, it was right in the middle of the dot-com
Yeah.
boom. I mean, remember this, you put .com behind any name back then and it just blew up. It didn't matter if they made money or
Yeah,
not.
that's what I was going to say. They didn't have to make money. Most of the time they didn't, but their stock was up to the moon, right?
Yes. And Tyson, being brothers, we would go to lunch and we'd have these conversations while we were in college. And, we were both in the business program. And so there was this new thing that just came out, brand spanking new, and it was called day trading. This was we read all these books, and
Talk
this
about
was the
painful memories around the dinner table, Ryan.
this is the dawn of trading where you can do on your own personal computer, right?
Yeah.
And I still remember this. We bought this software, red light, green light. Oh, it was supposed to solve all of the problems when it came to investing. We paid $5,000 for this piece of software, which, for a couple kids in college, we
That
had to
was a big
scrape together
spend.
all of our nickels and pennies and quarters to be
Yeah.
able to get that, right? But we thought we had the world by the tail. We thought, oh my gosh, there's no way we can fail on this. We've got this software that can help us. We opened a Charles Schwab account. I still remember that day, downtown Salt Lake, and I remember driving back on I-15. And we were like, we just took Wall Street
We
from
did it.
Wall Street to Main Street here in Salt Lake, and we had our account set up, and we funded the account and had some money, and we were going to take all of these fancy newfangled strategies that we were learning. We were going to trade our way to wealth. And you know, it didn't go as planned for some
Usually
reason.
life doesn't go as planned, right?
Well, one of my favorite trades that I remember was Western Pacific Airlines. Have you ever heard of that? Western Pacific Airlines.
Most
Well,
people haven't. I definitely have.
if if you haven't heard of Western Pacific Airlines, there's a really good reason because they're bankrupt. Okay. And I this little strategy we could do, you'd buy it was a rolling stock was the strategy. You buy it and then it would drop down and then you pick it up at the bottom and you'd buy it. Well, we rolled it a couple times and we're
Yep.
like, this is pretty awesome. We're making money, and I'll never remember. I had a test, and I went over, and this is before we had phones, right? I mean, before you had phones, you could check everything on your phone. And I went into the testing center, and they had this little computer lab there, and I got on and I logged into my internet account, and right as I'm getting ready to go take this test, there's this headline in my training account that says Western Pacific Airlines declares bankruptcy, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So everything that I'd made, plus everything that all the nickels and dimes and quarters that we put together, yeah, I went to zero.
So
Uh,
do you remember what you got on that test? Because
no,
that would have been a bad day, right?
I didn't care what I got on that test because I do remember going in and taking the test, but I cannot remember that. But I do remember Western Pacific Airlines. And, Tyson, that really was the genesis of kind of starting this thought process on how do you build the optimal system of security. And Tyson, shortly after that, as we were riding this wave, I remember, the rest of the money that we did had when we got out of school, we started our 401k. We were maxing out our 401k, investing. We felt like that was going pretty well because everything was going into technology stocks.
Yep.
And then we hit that 2001 era, and Again, we learned a really hard lesson that stocks don't go one way. They can go up and they can really go down. And I remember, Tyson, we lost 50%, 50%
Are
of
you
our
trying to get me
entire 401k.
depressed on this first episode, Ryan?
Well, I mean, we just have to, all progress starts by telling the truth, right? So you got to start about where we started. And, after that experience, I remember this question. We were working in the mortgage industry, and we went and we asked this question to some of the guys that were, getting ready to retire. They were smart guys. We thought, okay, they've got to have all this figured out. I mean, they're 2 years out from retirement. And this set of questions really changed the course of our careers. My question was, hey, I'm really embarrassed. I just lost 50% of my 401k. I'm sure you probably didn't because you're smart. You've been doing this for a long time. So what should you do? And their eyes went to their shoes, which what I knew by that response was they did the same thing. They were 2 years away from retirement. They had just lost 50%. And I asked him this question. I said, well, would you do that with the bank's money?
Yeah.
Right? Would you risk all of your life savings, put it all on this technology stocks? And their answer was, well, of course not. And then my follow-up question was, well, then why would you do that with your own money? If you wouldn't do it with the bank's money, why would you do it with your own money? And Tyson, that started us on a journey to figure this retirement thing out, because we didn't want to get to retirement, be 62 years old, full of life, excited about retirement, and lose half your money and go broke, right?
That's right. And let me share one other piece of this story that really was an impetus for us to focus on this, that led us to what we call the mass affluent that are our clients. And we'll explain that term here in just a minute. But Ryan, you remember going together to a financial planner.
Yep.
And we were young in our career, and we said, hey, we want to go to a financial planner who, we'd started out in the mortgage industry, and we'd scaled 2 companies, and we said, we've got some assets now. Let's build a plan. Let's see where this takes us. Let's be early adopters. Let's make sure we understand this, and we'll hold each other accountable. So
Yep.
we go to this really highly acclaimed financial advisor, and we start talking to him about all the things we want, including our parents had asked us what we should do, how they could take Social Security. So we wanted to get an answer for that. And he said to us, well, yeah, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to create a plan. But you've got to write a check for how much money, Ryan?
$3,500.
$3,500. And so we pulled out our checkbook and we said, yeah, we'll write you a check right now for $3,500. And he's like, no, you don't get it. It's $3,500 a piece.
$7,000.
$7,000. And this was years and years ago. So again, we not only spent $5,000 on red light, green light, but we spent $7,000 on our first financial plan.
With inflation, that's like we spent like triple that, right?
Yeah.
When
totally.
you go back to the time period.
And so we do everything we're asked to do. We come back. He's like, I'm really excited to show you the plan. And he hands us this fake leather binder with over 100 pages. So he's trying to make it look
emphasis on the fake leather binder.
And it was a fake plan too. It's
Yeah.
really what I'm trying to say here. Not because he wasn't a good guy, not because he wasn't good at what he did, but he had just been taught what the industry teaches, which is here's over 100 pages of financial stuff that doesn't really move the needle. And he, in fact, told us, he said, the path that you're on, you're not going to be able to retire.
Yeah.
You don't have enough in assets. I don't even know why you're here. And instead of giving us hope, it gave us a lot of frustration. And on top of that, we said, well, how about, Social Security? We had talked about getting some help with our parents. And he's like, you can go to the Social Security Administration. There's some really general rules of thumb that you need to follow. I'm not an expert in that, so go to a place where it is. And so it just really left a sour taste in our mouth. And we said, never again. We want to create simplicity. We want to help everybody have a plan. And we want to really change the way that we look at financial services and specifically retirement, because you only get one chance to retire, right?
That's right. Well, Tyson, as you see these, these setbacks are actually the stepping stones that have
Yes.
led us to where we are today. I mean, fast forward now, and here we are, the founders of B.O.S. Retirement Solutions. We manage now billions of dollars for the families that we serve. And Tyson, you mentioned the mass affluent. You know, who is our ideal client? Our ideal client of who we help at B.O.S. Retirement Solutions is someone that saved, 200,000 to $3 million, and they value advice. They know that they have some questions on, well, I'm not really sure on how to take my Social Security. I've been paying into this thing for a really long time. How do
Yep.
I pay into my Social Security? When it comes back to investments, they're like, I don't want to be 65 years old, getting retirement, and all of a sudden have all of this money go away
Yep.
because I lose it. I make it in my business and I sell it. I lose it in someone else's business, also called Wall Street.
We've seen it so many times.
And then taxes. They've been putting their money into 401ks and IRAs or TSPs or 403bs, whatever the amount, whatever the account is that you've been saving on your pre-tax retirement accounts. And Tyson, they're just good people that want good information so that they can make great decisions. And we've been fortunate because we've taken what our life experiences are. And for example, on the plan, we didn't want it to be that you had to pay $7,000 to get a plan. There's a lot of different ways that you can get help out there, but I will tell you, you really need somebody who's going to be a fiduciary and who can help you look at all sides. I think outside, Tyson, one of the things that's confusing for so many people out there is it's like a jungle. Who do you trust? You talk to one guy and all he sells is insurance products, and everything is can be solved with insurance. You go talk to somebody else, and they say I hate annuities, and so should you. And then all they
Right.
talk about is a market solution, and it's like,
Hey, don't forget Bitcoin. There's other
yeah,
people who are like, I got to swing for the fence with Bitcoin, and that's
yes,
the only way I'm going to be able to retire, right?
yes, and Tyson, when you look at that, it is confusing. It is complicated. We've been through each one
Yes.
of those things. I think what makes us unique is we didn't start our careers saying that we want to be retirement advisors. What happened is we started on the banking side, and in the banking side, we saw that the vast majority of Americans, their money went to credit cards, auto loans, and their mortgage payment. And by the time they made that money, all of a sudden you fast forward 30, 35, 40 years, and they're going into retirement. They haven't saved a whole lot. They
Right.
haven't saved a whole lot. And so, if you've saved $300,000, I will tell you this, you can't afford to make mistakes at this point in the game. You've
Especially
got to
with
make
where
sure.
taxes are going and how inflation is eating away at what people have to be able to live off of, right?
Yes. And so we said, let's create a company. Let's create a company that, number one, doesn't charge for the planning fees, that you can come in and forget the leather binder and the
Say
96
that again,
pages of
Ryan.
boilerplate.
How much do we charge for a plan?
Zero. We don't charge anything for the planning fees. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not going to pay $3,500. You're not going to pay $7,000. It's zero. And the other thing is Leonardo, like you said, Tyson, Leonardo da Vinci, simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Your plan is one page. So it's really easy to understand and get an idea of where you're at. And we're going to, on this podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to talk backyard baseball here. We're going to talk inside baseball of how all these things come together. And this is going to be education. It's not going to be, hey, you absolutely need to work with us. Nope. We've helped now over 30,000 families make an informed decision on how and when to take Social Security. We didn't charge them a dime for that.
Yep.
But we give out a 29-page report on here's your Social Security benefit. Here's the best way to take it, not only to maximize it, but to optimize it in your scenario. And of course, if you want some help, we're here to help you, but we want to give the education, what we've learned over the last 25 years. You have the B.O.S. Retirement Brothers here to help you. I'm completely bald. Tyson's almost bald. And here's what we've learned along the way is like we've said in this show, we've made some mistakes, right? We've lost half of our portfolio. We've paid a lot of planning fees. We've done all those things that people try to do to make a good decision. And, I will tell you this, this is the place to come for retirement solutions. This is the place to come to talk about what really matters most and what moves the needle.
In fact, let me even put a bow on this portion of the conversation in what our investment philosophy looks like. You go to so many people. In fact, I hear all the time somebody come up to me in the grocery store or at a restaurant or somewhere, and they say something like this. Well, I've heard you on the radio. I listen to your podcast. I see you on TV. What kind of rate of return can I get? And and I said, you're asking the wrong question, because when it comes to retirement, first and foremost, this is all about creating income for your retirement. It's not getting a 13%, 12, 13% return, even though that would be great. And sometimes that does happen. And that fits in that growth bucket of what's in the market. But you've got to have reliable income to be able to live 30, 40 years in retirement, because think about it. The day you retire ends up being the day that you decide that you're never going to get a regular paycheck again. You're permanently unemployed.
Yep.
And so you've got to have an income that lasts as long as you do. And so what is our investment philosophy? Here it is in simple terms again. We want your investments to be boring. So we're not trying to shoot for a 50, 60% return in a year, so that your retirement can be exciting. Usually people want their investments to be exciting, but then they don't sleep at night and they don't enjoy their retirement. We want it to be the other way around, Ryan, right? We want it to be the investments are boring, slow and steady wins the race. It's the tortoise versus the hare here. And when you create a plan, that plan makes all the difference in how you're able to sleep at night. In fact, I remember meeting with a client who had set aside some substantial savings for retirement. He had a 401k, he had a couple of IRAs, he had worked a couple places, he had started a job or a business that he loved. And he brought me the spreadsheet, and he's like, one of the things that I do all the time is, since I run my own business, I kind of have flexibility. I get up every morning, and I usually am in front of my computer by about 6 o'clock in the morning. I do some research on what's happening in the stock market that day. I watch the stock market open right at the open, and I've already placed some trades. And he basically wasn't a day trader, but he was a very active trader.
Yeah.
And so we created this plan for him that he and his wife could never outlive their money from income streams, and from growth, and from saving money on taxes and being able to pass it on to his kids. And so we get back together, and he said, my entire life's changed. I don't have to wake up as early anymore. I don't
Yeah.
have to spend that time, an hour to 2 hours every day in the stock market, because you've given me time freedom. And that's what I mean when I say that we want your investments to be boring so that your retirement can be exciting. Because in that example, he totally shifted his time that he was doing on a daily basis so he could truly start to enjoy his time that he had. And that's a huge win.
Well, Tyson, the best thing about doing this and working together for over 25 years is, you need to know, folks, that we shared a bedroom growing up. I mean, Tyson's number 5, I'm
Here we
number
go.
6
Here we
out
go.
of 7 kids. And Tyson made me turn the light off almost every night. He was in bed, warm, cozy. It's like, we're from Utah. It's like on a cold winter night, it's like, you got to get out of bed and turn the light off. And he'd always guilt trip me on this. He'd say, our dad was a barber, owned a barber shop from 1969 to 2006 in the Cottonwood Mall in Salt Lake. And Tyson would always have this guilt question, which would be, do you know how hard dad works? How do you think it makes dad feel for you to waste all of that money
All this
with leaving the
electricity.
light on? So what would I do? I'd get up and I'd turn the light off. And, you know, I'm going to turn the light off on this podcast, Tyson. I'm looking forward to this journey, wherever this leads here. For those of you who have listened to this, we not only made mistakes, but we also learned from those mistakes. And if you fast forward today, one of the things that we love is the thousands and thousands of families that we've helped retire successfully. We love just helping good people do the things that they want to do in retirement.
Absolutely.
And that's what this is all about. Tyson, we've had the opportunity to sell this business. We said no. We said no because our mission's not done. We feel like that all of these experiences, these setbacks, and now the successes have led us to this point that allow us to talk about 25 years of what really matters in the conference room. Everyone talks about rate of return, like you said, Tyson. Everyone at Backyard Barbecue says, hey, what's going to give me the highest rate of return? But when we sit with families in the conference room, it's really about, I want to make sure I know where my paycheck's coming from in retirement when I stop working. I want to make sure that my money lasts as long as we do during retirement. I don't want to be a burden on my kids. I don't want to be 85 years old, full life and flat broke. I want to minimize my taxes. I'm not sure how to take out my money from my IRAs and 401ks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to the Retirement Solutions Podcast. This is going to be a really, really fun journey. This is episode number 1. And please download this on any places that you listen to your podcasts. And we look forward to just sharing some journeys. We're going to bring some great speakers on here, different people. We love bringing in the best of the best to the families that we serve. And we're going to bring them on this podcast and just talk about what matters most. Thanks so much for joining us today, and join us on the next episode. And remember this, retiring successfully, it doesn't happen by accident. It starts with a plan, and that plan is the B.O.S. Retirement Blueprint.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solutions Podcast with Ryan Thacker and Tyson Thacker. To learn how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement, go to bossretirement.com/podcast to receive a free B.O.S. Retirement Blueprint. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another story that can help you make the most out of every dollar you've saved for retirement. Advisory services offered through B.O.S. Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through B.O.S. Retirement Solutions. Information contained in this material is for informational purposes only. Actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. The information is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of any individual. You should seek advice on legal and tax questions from an independent attorney or tax advisor. B.O.S. is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government agency. Marketing materials provided by Infinity Marketing Services.